someone might say, well, it's only, 7 or 8 million barrels a day. How important is that? And the answer is it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, that's because, even 1 million barrels a day of deficit in supply is enough to drive oil prices up to $120 a barrel. That's what OPEC has been doing here for the last couple of years. They've been withholding oil to try to keep the price up. We use so much oil to keep the world running, to keep our factories and machines and houses. And everything we do relies on oil. And so if we're down 1%, we're screwed.
I don't think a lot of people understand that. No. And I think when we talk about oil peaking, and real simply, peak oil means that we're dependent on a finite resource that has incredible energy density and work potential that replaces what humans used to do manually. And it will one day hit a maximum and then decline. That is a given. But when we talk about that, we're not running. There's two implications, I think, and I'll ask for you to chime in. One is we're going to have to figure out in coming decades and century what we're going to do when we have 80% as much oil, 60% as much oil, 40% as much oil, 10% as much oil down into the future. That is an important question that society really, if we had wisdom and foresight, would be addressing. But the second, which is more of the focus of my work with this podcast and my organization, is once we stop growing and start declining, that calls into motion all sorts of deltas, differentials between society and finance and government expectations of what extrapolating the past forward to a reality. There's what do we do about our financial claims once energy, especially oil, start to decline? That's a separate question and one with hugely important consequences.
How do we fight our wars? We use an awful lot of oil just to move all that equipment around. But, you said that oil is hemoglobin. Think about it as oxygen. Okay, think about if a person's oxygen saturation dropped 5%, what would happen? It's only 5%, right? But, very likely you might collapse. You would certainly have to sit down. You couldn't function with a couple of percent less oxygen saturation in your blood. And that would be the effect of losing just a couple of percent of oil supply for the world's metabolism.